Hello, there's the birthday girl. Is that the birthday girl? Can I just make out? Is it Ava?
Yeah.
Hello, Ava.
Hello,
Hey, Ava. I hear you're 11 years old. Is it Tuesday?
Sorry?
I hear that you turn 11 on Tuesday. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, Ava, while people are turning up, can you see Uncle Gacko? Can you see Gary? There he is, waving in his nice pink tie.
This is what?
Can you see Gary in his pink tie? There he is.
You have lost completely connection.
You've lost completely connection.
What is the modern technology?
Oh no. Are you back? Have we got you?
Mum, our internet connection is unstable.
Oh.
Apparently, the interconnection is unstable.
It must be my fault then. I think.
Ava, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Ava, because people are turning up. I'm going to tell you a quick story, and Uncle Gacko is going to sing you a little song for your birthday. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, whoever's about turning up here in the World Storytelling Cafe, and if you're out there on YouTube or on Facebook, come into the cafe. It's a lot more intimate, and you get good coffee if you're lucky. We're having a little story for Ava's 11th birthday, which I'm told is on Tuesday. And it has to be quite a quick story, Ava, because we've got a lot to get through tonight. So the story goes a little bit like this. Once upon a time, a long time ago, and you probably didn't know this, that up in the sky, there lived 3 best friends. Now, one of them was called the sun. One of them was called the moon. And the other one was called the cockerel. Now, you might never heard of the cockerel before, but he goes, cock-a-doodle-doo. What does he do, Ava?
Because cock-a-doodle-doo.
Well done. Well, the sun and the moon worked very, very hard every day to make sure that things were cool down here on Earth, that there was enough light for people to see. There was a beautiful scene at night time. There was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful light during the daytime. And Cockerel, he kept home, you see. He made sure the beds were clean, the washing up was done, and all the food was prepared beautifully. But when he got home at night time, well, the moon was quite rude to him, you see. The moon would plant herself down on the sofa and would sit around doing nothing, expecting Cockerel to do absolutely everything. And eventually, Cockerel had had enough. And one day, Cockerel folded her wings and looked at the moon and said, "Moon, I am fed up tidying up after you, sweeping the floors, making your bed, and all you do is flounce yourself through the night sky looking beautiful. Now, if you want anything done from now on, you'll have to do it yourself." Well, Moon was absolutely furious and said, "Cockerel, you're lazy. And being lazy, you don't live in my house anymore." And so Moon stretched out her hand and picked up Cockerel by her comb. That's the wobbly bit on top of her head, you see, and squeezed so hard that it turned bright red. So if you ever wondered why the cockerel's comb is bright red, now you know, you see. And then dangled Cockerel out of the door and threw him through the sky until eventually he landed down here on Earth. And ever since then, Cockerel's lived down here, you see. Well, Moon sat down on the sofa and waited for Sun to come home. And when Sun came home, Sun said, "Hello, Moon, is me tea ready?" And then looked around the house and could see that Cockerel wasn't there at all and asked what had happened. Well, eventually, Moon had to tell the story, you see. And Sun looked at Moon and said, "Moon, you are a fool for throwing away a friend, for surely friends are the most important things in the world. And if you can't live in harmony, well, then you won't live in this house anymore." And banished Moon out into the night, you see. And it's been like that ever since, you see. Sun has lived in his own house and travels through daytime. Moon has lived in her house and travels through the nighttime. But Cockerel has never forgotten his best friend, Sun. And of course, every morning when Sun starts to come out the house and come up into the sky, cockerel jumps up onto the top of the roof and calls out, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" And what he's actually saying is, "Good morning, my beautiful friend." And that, dear friends, and my lovely Ava, who's turning 11, is the end of the story. And I think Mr. Bridgens has a little song to follow it up, and I can hear him tuning up right now. Go on, Mr. Bridgens.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas, and thank you for telling me with just seconds to go that you wanted me to sing this song that I haven't sung since last August, but it's called The Old Grey Cock. It's a short one, and it goes like this to the best of my memory. Every morning, everything I do is right. I don't need a knocker up, I don't need a clock, 'cause underneath me window is me old grey cock. Every morning, everything I do is right. I don't need a knocker up, I don't need a clock, 'cause underneath me window is me old grey cock. And no matter what I do, he wakes me in the morning with a cock-a-doodle-doo. And no matter what we do. What's the girl's name again, Mr. Douglas? Ava, is it? Yeah. And no matter what we do. Hey, Ava, happy birthday to you. Oh, happy birthday to you.
Hey!
There you are. Happy birthday, Ava.
Well, it looks like we're on, Mr. Bridgens. It looks like we're on. I think I shall start with a little introduction, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you are in the world, it's wonderful to welcome you here into the World Storytelling Cafe. And what we've got for you is a select. Hello, can you hear me all?
Yeah, can now.
Sorry, here we are in the World Storytelling Cafe, and I'm very proud to be standing alongside my brother, Mr. Gary Gacko Bridgens, for an evening of stories and an evening of songs. So settle down on your sofas, sit back with your finest drink in hand, and we will try and regale you with a few minutes of gorgeousness, let's hope. And to open the proceedings, as you should do, you should always hand over to your elders, you see. And Mr. Bridgens is also much older than me, who are still in my youth, you see. Mr. Bridgens is going to kick us off, I think, with a little opening song. Is that right, Mr. Bridgens?
Quite right, Mr. Douglas, quite right. Every good show should start with an opening song. And this is a song that usually when we do our show, when we're physically together, Mr. Douglas and I sing this song together. But this evening, it's quite a funny time at the moment. And we're doing a double act from both Cumbria and from Staffordshire. So unfortunately, there's a 2-second gap, because the signal for this technology has to go up into space and then come back down into your devices. And that means we can't sing together. So I'm going to have to sing both parts myself. And this song we usually sing at the beginning of any shows we do together. And strangely, today we would be performing live at Chippenham Festival, and we would be singing this song. It's called Rambling On, and it goes like this. Here we go. We're rambling on, we're showmen of the road, with legends to unload, we're always rambling on. We're rambling on, we're ambulatory, with a checkered history, we're always rambling on. It's time to go. We hope you like our show. It's time to tell some stories and begin. We have some history, some herstory, some mystery and mirthery, and then we'll pack our loads and we're on the road again. We're rambling on, we're strolling steadily, peripatetically, we're always rambling on. We're rambling on to share a tale or two. We'll pass them on to you, and then we'll ramble on. It's time to go. We hope you like our show, and then we'll pack our loads and we're on the road again. We're telling if you're poor or wealthy, sometimes Scunthorpe, sometimes Chelsea, east or west, north or south, shy of money, loud of mouth, if you sparkle, if you drab, now to gift you but the gab. We're rambling on, and so we play to kings, we play to peasants, young or old or adolescents, play for lords, play for cabbies, grand caliphs in Abu Dhabi, don't see status, just see folks, if you're loaded, if you're broke. We're rambling on, until about 7, we're rambling on.
Oh,
there you go, Mr. Douglas. The opening song, and I think if I'm right, if my notes tell me correctly, the next thing we're going to do is have a story from you.
We are, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Would you like a little story? I'm presuming that the answer to that is yes, being as you're here. So I'll tell you a little story. It's an old story, this one. And I'm telling you this story. It comes from a little collection of stories that was brought together by a man who had a bit of an influence on me. For when I was a bit younger, I was a bit of a bad lad. I wasn't very good at school. I didn't listen a lot, you see, until one day my teacher, Mr. White, came into the school and said, "I'm not going to teach you nothing anymore. I'm going to read you something." And he started to read to me. And suddenly these words created a world for me that I sank into. And later on, I went to speak to Mr. White and said, "What is that book?" And he told me the name of the book. It was a book called The Weird Stone of Bridgens, and it was by an author called Alan Garner. And I know it's called The Weird Stone of Bridgens by Alan Garner because I've still got the book, because I stole it from Mr. White, and he's probably never seen it again. But I started to read lots of Alan Garner's work, and eventually came across this book. And if you get a chance to see it, it's great. It's called The Bag of Moonshine, and inside it are some fabulous little stories. And I'm just going to put you on gallery view so I can see your faces, because this is a bit of a joiny-inny story. Hello, Chip. That's a lovely smile and love. And there's our lovely John, looking all fit and healthy. How's that bollard?
Damaged.
So here's the story for you. It's the story of a boy called Tom Poker, which is a bit of an odd name, I'm sure you'll agree. Once upon a time, there was a boy called Tom Poker. Now, Tom Poker, he was a very lazy boy. He was known as Bone Idle. He liked to sit on the sofa watching television for most of the day. Well, one day, Tom's mum came into the room and she had had enough. And she said, "Oi, Tom, get off that sofa. It's about time you went and did some work." Well, Tom jumped up and he looked at his mum and he said, "Well, you go tell me what work you want me to do." And she said, "Tom, it's winter time and it's cold and there's not enough wood for the fire. So here's your job. You'll take an axe and you'll go to the top of that hill there where there's a tree and you'll chop it down." Well, Tom thought that sounded like a great job to do. And so he picked up the axe and he put it over his shoulder. And if you want to join in, you can do. You just pick up your axe and you put it over your shoulder like this, you see. And then you stick out your chest like this. And that makes you feel nice and strong. And you set off walking across the field. There you go. Well done, Mike. You're looking good. You look like you're going for a boxing match, actually. But anyway, Tom's walking across the field there, feeling all strong. When he gets to thinking to himself, it's all right, you can put your axe down now and have a little rest because you'll be tired. He gets to thinking to himself, what could the strongest thing in the world be? Well, I'm not sure if you can answer that question, but let's find out what you think. Where's Mike? Mike, you'll know. What's the strongest thing in the world, Mike? Can we get his microphone on? There he is. Go on, Mike. What's the strongest thing in the world?
What have you got me there? Love is the strongest thing in the world.
Oh, love, of course, love. What do you reckon, John? What's the strongest thing in the world? I'm sure you're going to say a metal bollard, I'm sure, aren't you?
No, it came off second. My forehead is the strongest thing in the world.
Oh, what, sorry?
My forehead is the strongest thing in the world.
Come on, Chip. What's the strongest thing in the world, Chip?
Music.
And what's that, sorry?
Music.
Music's the strongest thing in the world. Oh, I've never heard that one in the years I've told this story. That's beautiful. Well, I wish we had all night to ask all of you, but Tom's walking along the field and he's thinking about all these things, you see. He's thinking about John's forehead and he's thinking about love and he's thinking about music. But the thing he's not doing is looking where he's going. And I can tell you, as he's walking across the field, there's a puddle of water. But this being winter time, that water's turned to ice. And as he walked across the ice, he slipped. Whoa! He went up in the air and he landed flat on his bum. Now, it wasn't the pain of landing. It was how cold that ice was. That ice was so cold, it took his breath away. He went, and then he got thinking to himself, if the ice is so cold that it can take my breath away, it must be the strongest thing in the world. I better tell the ice. And so he got his finger. Now, you can try this yourself if you like. Have you got your finger like this? And here's the words we're all going to say. Ice, ice, you are strong. Are you ready? After three. 1, 2, 3. Ice, ice, you are strong. Very good. Well done, everybody. But this being a story, you see, everything can talk. And the ice looked up at Tom and it said in a very icy voice. Hang on a second. I don't think I've ever heard ice talk before. I know what to do. Mr. Bridgens.
Me? Yes?
Yes, I know that you're a bit of a thespian, are you not?
Oh, for a muse of fire, what would ascend the brightest heavens of invention?
Yes. I wonder whether you could play the ice for us for a second. Would you mind?
I'll be very happy to, Mr. Douglas. Very happy.
Okay. Here's your line. I am indeed Tom. So I am indeed Tom in your best icy voice, please, Mr. Bridgens. Off you go.
My best icy voice.
Yes.
I am indeed Tom.
Oh, round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Oh.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy.
All right, thank you, Gary. Thank you. We must continue with the story. Thank you. You can take your applause later. Tom looked at the ice and he said, "Now hang on, ice," thinking you're the strongest thing in the world and getting all carried away. I've noticed that when the sun comes out in the sky, you melt and you run away. So by rights, I reckon the sun's a bit stronger than you. I better tell the sun. Have you got your finger like this? We're going to shout at the sun. Let's look up at the sun and we say, "Sun, sun, you are strong." Are you ready after 3? 1, 2, 3. Sun, sun, you are strong. Well done, everybody. Well done. Well, the sun, it looked down at Tom and it said in its best sunny voice. Are you ready, Mr. Bridgens?
Sunny voice.
Yes, please. I am indeed. Thank you very much. Off you go.
I am indeed. I am sunny voice.
Yes. Sunny voice.
I am indeed Tom.
How very camp.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Oh, gorgeous. It was amazing.
It all started for me very early with my acting.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Bridgens. We must carry on. We must carry on. Well, Tom looked at the sun and he said, "Now hang on, son, getting all carried away up there in the sky. When the clouds gather, they cover you up and you can't be seen. So by rights, I reckon the clouds are a bit stronger than you. I better tell the clouds. Have you got your finger? What do we say? Are you ready, everybody? After 3, 1, 2, 3. Clouds!
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 Clouds! You are the strongest thing in the world.
Well done, everybody. And the clouds, they looked at Tom, and I imagine you can tell what's coming any second now, aren't you? The clouds looked at Tom and they said, Mr. Bridgens, in your best cloudy voice.
You are indeed, Tom.
Almost right. Give him a round of applause. Oh, it's a marvel. It's a marvel. Well, Tom looked at those clouds and he said, now hang on a second, clouds getting all carried away, thinking you're the strongest thing in the world. When the north wind blows, it picks you up and sends you over the top of the mountains. So by rights, I reckon the north wind is stronger than you. And so he ran to the top of the hill. He took his finger. Have you got your finger? Do you know what to say? He said, wind, wind, you are strong. Well done, everybody. But the wind looked at Tom. I don't even want to know what's going to happen right now. And he said, in your best windy voice, Mr. Bridgens, what did he say?
Well, the north wind, hey, old man, you are indeed, Tom.
Wow, Mr. Bridgens.
I worked for a long time with Maggie Smith in the West End, you know, when I was at the Royal Hair Market.
Thank you, Mr. Bridgens, thank you. We don't have all night. But Tom looked at the wind and he said, now hang on a second, wind, getting all carried away. The hill I'm stood on can stand up to you. You can't blow it over. So by rights, I reckon this hill's a bit stronger than you. I bet to tell the hill. Are you ready, everybody? Have you got your finger? What did he say to the hill? He said, hill, hill.
You are strong.
Oh, wonderful. But the hill looked up at Tom. You can see him girding his loins. Oh, here we go. The hill looked up at Tom and it said,
oh, you are indeed, Tom.
Oh, give him a round of applause. No, it's not right, but don't worry about it. I'll correct you. I'll give you notes later, love.
All right.
Well, he looked at that hill and he said, now, hang on a second, getting all carried away. There's a tree growing here on top of you, and you can't grow on a tree. So I reckon that tree's a bit stronger than you. Mr. Bridgens is getting ready right now. But Tom looked at that tree and what did he say? Come on, last time. Are you ready? He said, tree.
You are strong.
And the tree looked at Tom and it said, in its best tree-like voice, off you go, Mr. Bridgens.
I am indeed, Tom. Ooh.
Oh, give him a round of applause. He's been a superstar. But Tom looked at that tree and he said, now hang on a second, tree, getting carried away. I have got an axe. And he took that axe. Have you got your axe? And he started to chop. Whoa, chop. Whoa, chop. Whoa, chop. And every time he hit that tree, a bit of that tree came down until eventually there were no tree there at all. There were just a big pile of logs. And Tom said, I'm the strongest thing in the world. With this axe, I'm stronger than that tree. I'm stronger than the hill. I'm stronger than the wind. I'm stronger than the clouds. I'm even stronger than the sun itself. And with that, he ran down the hill to tell his mum. But the problem was, as he ran down that hill, he forgot about one little thing. He forgot about that pool of ice. And as he ran across the ice, he slipped. Whoop! And he landed flat on his bum. And the ice was so strong, it took his breath away. And that, dear friends, is the end, or maybe the beginning of a story about Tom Poker. I thank you. There you go, Mr. Bridgens. How's that?
Oh, thank you very much. I definitely feel like I've had a good tactical workout today. Is it my turn now?
I think it is.
Okay. Well, I can't see everybody who's here or not, but But what I'm going to do is tell you a little story from a faraway off exotic land. Ooh, said the crowd.
Ooh.
The country we're going to go to is a country called the United Arab Emirates. And I tell you this story because a couple of years ago, me and a friend, a bloke by the name of Jake Shabby Rodriguez, were employed by the Grand Caliph of Abu Dhabi to go out and perform at a festival. And it was while we were out there that I collected this story. So I'm going to tell you this story. It's called The Camel in the Tent. I will be performing as the Arab man who's in the story, and I've got with me here a genuine Arab bloke's headdress, which was a gift when I was out in the Emirates, and this is what the Arab blokes wear, and you pop it over your head and you drop these on. And I flip it back so I can still play my guitar because it's a story song. Mr. Douglas, do I look like a convincing Arab man?
Yes.
Oh, good. Thank you. Because, of course, there's two characters in this story, Mr. Douglas. There's the
really?
man, which will be performed by myself, but
yes.
Also I need somebody to perform as the camel. And as soon as you so kindly invited me to perform in your story, it'd be very nice if you could perform for me as the camel. Would you have an appropriate camel costume?
Camel?
A camel costume, yes.
Hang on. I'll go and see what I can find, shall I?
You go and knock something up. I'll do the first part of the story. Now, the story, it's a song story. Quite a lot of my stories are, actually. And it's all about the Arab man and his friend the camel. And the Arab man, well, he was...
How's that?
Oh, what a wonderful camel costume, Mr. Douglas.
I've got the ump.
Yes, you have. Very good. I'm very impressed.
And it's made of camel skin.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. Hang on, my Arab man's falling off. So this is about an Arab man, and the Arab man, well, he was very well thought of. He was very well heeled. He was very well
hung
off. He was very well off. He was a rich man. And the story goes like this. It's called the Camel in the Tent, and it goes like this. Oh, once there was an Arab that was lost. He was lost in the desert with his camel. And though he was a rather hairy mammal, that disconcerted dromedary was cold. Well, you see, the Arab had a tent, and the canvas kept him warm and comfy, and left outside the camel, he got the see. So he called the sleeping Arab, and he said, oh, I'm getting cold, sir. Won't you let me warm my nose, sir? Just my nose and nothing more, sir. Reluctantly, the Arab shifted over, and the camel moved inside.
Mr. Bridgens?
Yes?
Mr. Arab man, playing the camel outside the tent. I must reclaim it's quite cold out here. Do you think maybe I could come inside your tent?
Oh, I'm sorry, Camel. No. It's such a small tent. If I was to invite you inside, Camel, I would have to ask you for some rent.
Rent? I don't have any money. I'm a camel, sir. But I do have something of value. I could offer you some entertainment in the tent. I could tell you a story.
A story, Camel, but there is no value in a story.
No value in a story? A story is the most valuable thing in the world. And this is a very good story, if you let me in.
Oh, very well, Camel. Tell your story.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a boy. Now, this boy, he came from a poor family. But his family, they wanted the boy to go out into the world and seek his fortune. And so they gathered together what little money they had, and they put it into the hand of the boy. And they set him off to the grand land of Abu Dhabi. There, they thought, he would find his fortune. But they did say, you take all we have, so use it wisely. Well, the boy, he traveled for many, many days until eventually he came to the city of Abu Dhabi. And it was at this point nightfall. Now, he didn't want to use the money that his parents had given him for something as like accommodation. And so he put the money back into his pocket and he looked for a place to stay. And what he found was the flat roof of a baker's shop. And there, that evening, he slept. Well, he slept soundly, for the journey had been long, until eventually the sun came up. And the boy stood up and he stretched and he looked out across that city, preparing to take his journey, to find his fortune. But then he felt the pangs of hunger inside his stomach. But again, he didn't want to dishonor his parents by using the money they'd given him, all their earthly wealth, on food. And so he merely sniffed the air. And being on top of a baker's shop, what he smelt was the smell of freshly baked bread. Well, you probably know as well as I do that there's no finer smell in the world. And that smell was so good that it filled up the boy's tummy. It gave him the energy to set off into the city to seek his fortune.
All right, Camel, very good. Continue. Tell me more about the boy.
Well, if you want me to tell you the rest of the story, you'll have to let me a little further into your tent.
Further into my tent?
Mm-hmm.
All right, very well then. Well, the Arab and the camel tried to sleep, but the temperature toppled in the evening, and suddenly the camel, he was freezing. So he nudged the sleeping Arab and he said, oh, I'm getting colder. Won't you let me warm my shoulder? Just my neck and nothing more, sir. Reluctantly, the Arab shifted over and the camel moved inside. All right, Camel, you tell me more about the boy.
Well, for 3 whole days this continued. The boy would wake up in the morning on the roof of the baker's shop and sniff the air and set off into the city to seek his fortune. However, his activity had not gone unnoticed, for the man that owned the baker's shop had seen the boy sniffing the air, but also he heard the chink of the boy's coins, and an idea came to his mind. He travelled that day to the palace of the Grand Caliph. And he said, Grand Caliph, there is a boy in this city, a stranger, who for 3 whole days has stolen from me. He has stolen the smell of my bread, and I want him punished. Well, the Grand Caliph, he called for his guards and he set them off across the city, and they found the boy and they dragged him back to the feet of the Grand Caliph. And the Grand Caliph looked down at the boy sternly and said, is it true, boy, that you have come here to this city and for 3 whole days have stolen the smell of this man's bread? For if it is true, then you are a thief and you should be punished. Well, the boy, he looked up at the Grand Caliph and said, Grand Caliph, I was sent here by my parents who gave me what little money they had. And I didn't want to dishonour my parents by spending it on mere trifles as accommodation and food. And so that smell has filled my tummy for 3 whole days. But if taking a sniff of the air each morning means I am a thief, then I should be punished.
All right, Camel, continue. What punishment befell the boy, Camel?
Well, if you want me to tell you the end of the story, you'll have to let me all the way inside your tent.
What, further inside my tent, Camel? Very well. Well, the Arab and the camel tried to sleep, but the temperature toppled and got bracing, and then without considering the spacing, the camel nudged the Arab and he said, oh, I'm getting numb, sir. Won't you let me warm my legs and tail, sir? Just my tail and nothing more, sir. Reluctantly, the Arab shifted over, and the camel moved inside. All right, Camel, you tell me what punishment befell the boy.
Well, as the Grand Caliph looked down at the boy, the baker, who stood nearby, he rubbed his hands, thinking of the coin he would take and the many things he would buy with it. But suddenly he was slightly perturbed as the Grand Caliph, he called for a metal plate to be brought into the room. Well, off went the servants, and eventually they returned. And as they returned, they put the metal plate down upon the table. And the Grand Caliph, he looked at the boy and said, "Boy, take out the coins that your parents have given you." Well, the boy, he put his hand inside his pocket, and with a shaky hand, he lifted up the coins. And the Grand Caliph said, "Boy, would you pour those coins down onto this metal plate?" Well, he let go of those coins, and as they fell to the metal plate, a clatter, it emanated across the room, filling everybody's ears. And the Grand Caliph, he turned to the baker and said, "There, you've been paid. That boy is a thief, and for stealing the smell of your bread, you have been given the sound of his coins. Now leave my palace, you greedy, greedy man." Well, the baker, he left with his head held low. And the Grand Caliph, he looked at the boy and said, "Boy, for not dishonouring your parents, using that money on trifles like accommodation and food, you have shown your worth. And so I shall show mine. I would like you to come and live here in the palace with me, and together we shall seek your fortune." And that is the end of my story. Thank you very much.
Good, very good, Camel. Well done,
right,
old friend. Yes. Here, Camel.
Yes?
In order to accommodate you in these times of social distancing,
Yes.
I have to move outside the tent myself. I wonder if you could just roll over a little bit and let me in, because you're quite right, it is rather cold in the desert at night time.
Well, my dear friend, if you want to come inside my tent, then you shall have to pay me rent.
Oh, come, Camel, have you learnt nothing from the story of the boy and the bread?
Well, do enlighten us. What is the moral, dear friend?
I rather suspect, Camel, that on account of not doing this show for over 6 months and the inability to rehearse, we have both forgotten the moral. However, I'll finish the song. Here we go. Well, the Arab and the camel tried to sleep, but the centre pole snapped and it clattered, and on top of the Arab it all shattered. So the Arab nudged the camel and he said, oh, you broke the awning, and now we're homeless till the morning. And And so they huddled close together to warm each other from the weather. And a moral to this story is meant.
If you're going to ask someone to work for you,
and someone to carry you,
and all of your equipment
across the burning desert,
the very least you can do
is make room for them in your tent. La, 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 la. There you are, the Arab in the tent. There you go. My Arab man headdress is as obedient as usual, Mr. Douglas. I've got one for you. I've got a little story for you. I've been singing songs all afternoon. Are you ready for a story from me, Mr. Douglas?
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please.
Now, you might remember when I sent you an email earlier in the week saying I was going to do the passage from Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I've got bad news.
Oh.
Yeah, you see, I was going to, of course, be performing as Romeo, and Ada, my next door neighbour, she was going to be Juliet. Yes. She's got a lovely balcony outside in the adjacent house, and she has lovely Sweet William growing down. Yes. She was going to stand there looking beautiful, and I was going to claw my way up her foliage, and we were going to do the balcony scene. but she's she's gone off, so I'm going to have to improvise and do something else.
Oh.
Now,
do you know what?
Yeah, I do know what. I thought what I might do is do the soup stone, but I'll need you to be the other character.
Oh, okay. What is the other character?
Oh, you know the other character. You've seen me do this show before.
All right, then. Hang on a second.
You go get I'll do the introduction. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, here in the World Storytelling Cafe, I'm going to tell you a lovely little story now, and it's all about a man. But I'm afraid the man, well, he was a very poor man. And when it's a shame for somebody in a story, you all have to say, "Oh." I'm going to put you on gallery, I think, so I can see anybody going, "Oh." So in the story, if it's a shame, you all have to say, "Oh." Let's see you say, "Oh." Oh, it's awful. It's awful. And I'll tell you why it's a shame for him. It's a shame for the man because he was a poor man. Oh. And also, it's a shame for him because he was a peripatetic man. Oh. Now, if you don't worry if you don't know what peripatetic is. Peripatetic means somebody who roves around a lot from place to place, rather like Dominic Cummings at the moment. He's been roving around a lot from place to place, but the poor man in our story, well, he didn't go 260 miles to have a look at the bluebells in Barnard Castle when everybody else was in lockdown. The poor man was a peripatetic man because he was homeless. Oh. But a person should never confuse poverty with stupidity, because even though the man was very poor, he was actually very, very clever. And the man, well, he found himself walking through some woods one day, and he felt the familiar pang of hunger come across his stomach. And he looked in the distance, and there was some woodland. And in the woodland, he could see a light, and he realized that the light from the woodland was, of course, the light of a house. It was a window. But the man, he knew it was a posh house because the light coming through the window was coloured light, and that meant it was stained glass. And so the man, he approached the house and he found a door. And the man, he knocked upon the door. And as I learned from Chip yesterday, when you're watching somebody tell a story and you have to knock on a door, you have to put your hands like this and you knock 3 times. Thank you, Chip, for teaching me this. You go 1, 2, 3. Well, the door began to open, and inside the house there was a vision of beauty. She was a beautiful woman. She was so beautiful. She was known locally as gorgeous. She was so gorgeous. She was even more gorgeous than Audrey Hepburn's gorgeous sister. And she...
Hello, everybody. It's me. I'm the gorgeous lady, and my name is Bridget, and it's so lovely to spend a little bit of time with you. So what's going on here then? What did you tell me?
Well, well, the man, he stared into her beautiful, radiant blue eyes.
Yes.
And he said to the lady, I'm sorry to bother you. I was just passing by. I came over all hungry. I have everything, everything I need to make a delicious meal. I simply don't have a kitchen of my own. May I borrow yours? And the beautiful goddess of a lady, she said,
yes, of course you can borrow my kitchen, but you come inside, you look like a nice fella.
So, almost reluctantly, the man entered the lady's house. He said, I have everything I need to make this delicious meal. Oh, beautiful, exotic lady with magnificent ears, who he suddenly thought might be trying to chat him up. She winked at him so beautifully with her one eye. And the man said, would you happen to have a cauldron or a pot with boiling water? And the lady said,
yes, of course I've got a pot. What do you think I am? Hang on, I've got it.
Off went the lady.
I've got it here.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, you've got it. Lovely. Yes. So the lady, well, she placed the cauldron on her lap, just under one of her many chins, and the man, he took from his pocket one of these. It was a stone, but it was no ordinary stone. It was a pebble, and it was no ordinary pebble. As you can see, it was a heart-shaped pebble from Walney Island. It was a magic pebble, and the man, he gave the stone to the lady. I'll reach under the counter there, beautiful lady, and hand it to you.
Oh, thank you very much. What do I put it in?
That was just like watching Paul Daniels. Well done.
I'm a little bit like his assistant.
Well, the lady, she took the stone, the heart-shaped stone, and she added it to the pot. She added it to the pot.
In there?
Yeah, but she put it in the pot, yes.
All right. There we go.
And then a man said, would you happen to have a spoon? Oh, I can see you've already got a spoon. Yeah, that saves her the trouble of going back off to the kitchen to get one, doesn't it, Mr. Douglas? Yeah.
Yes.
And she took that spoon, and this is what she did. She put it in the pot, and she turned it, and she stirred it, and she tasted it. But sadness swept across the lady's face.
Oh.
And the man said, do you think it's ready? But the lady said,
it's awful. I don't want to taste that again. No, it's terrible. It tastes like canal water.
So the man said, I know. Don't worry. I think I know what will happen. If only we had some salt and some pepper, then we could add it to the cauldron, and that will take the canal-like qualities away from the soup.
I I have some salt and pepper.
So off went the lady. Off went the lady to her larder to get some salt and pepper to add to the stone soup, you see. And she produced the salt and pepper there.
Salt and the pepper.
Very good. There was a pepper and even some subliminal advertising for a lady who's obviously got shares in Saxa. And what she did was she crunched some of that salt in and she added the pepper. And then she took her spoon, and can you remember what she did, Mr. Douglas? She put the spoon in, and she turned it, and she stirred it, and she tasted it. And the lady said,
"Is it ready yet?"
Well, have a taste. Have a taste, said the man, and the lady had a taste. Well, oh dear.
It's horrible. It tastes like water that's been left in a shoe outside a shop for ages.
Well, that news was very new to the man. He wasn't expecting it to have such shoe water-like qualities, and he said, I know. I think I know what we can do to remedy this. We need to thicken it up, and then it won't fit in that shoe anymore. If only we had an onion. Well, an onion would spice it up lovely and really get the taste of leather away.
I've got an onion.
Have
I'll
you?
go get it. I'll go get it.
The larder.
I'll go get it.
So off went the lady to her larder, and very soon she returned. In her hand was an onion, a fabulous looking onion.
I don't have an onion. I have a banana.
Oh, okay.
But it'll do the job.
Well, I suppose it's plenty of potassium. It's always very... So the lady, she added the banana to the pot, and she got a spoon and she stuck it in. Can you remember what she did, Mrs. Douglas?
Yes.
She turned it, and she stirred it, and she tasted it. Have a taste. And the man said, "Is it ready yet?" And the lady, well,
oh, do you know? I used to go drinking in the social club in the town, and at night time we used to clean out the ashtrays with water, you know. And once upon a time, I dipped my finger in the water and tasted it, and it tastes just like that.
Oh,
old ashtray water.
I wonder if it's possibly the addition of a banana rather than an onion.
It could be. It could be that.
It could have given it that quality. And the man said, "Okay, well, let's have a think. What we need is something to mask the unexpected taste of banana. If we had some vegetables, vegetables would really start to thicken it lovely and compensate."
I've some vegetables.
I thought you might. Yeah,
yes,
I thought you might. Well, why don't you go and get them?
I'll be back in a second.
Okay, so off went the lady to her larder, and the man, he looked increasingly concerned as the lady returned, and she had a smug smile on her face.
This is my favourite vegetable.
Oh, yes, I could almost see your little cheeks glowing there.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
So, what is it?
It's very versatile. You can use it for all sorts of things.
What is it?
It's a courgette.
Oh, it's a courgette.
Yes.
We don't have those in Barrow-in-Furness.
Well, you should get them. You'd be happier.
So the man, he invited the lady to drop the courgette into the pot, and then she took her spoon and she dipped the spoon into the pot. And can you all remember what she did? She turned it and she stirred it and she tasted it. And the man said to the lady, "Is it ready yet, do you think?" And the lady said,
"No, it's not ready. It's the most vile thing I've ever tasted in my life. It tastes worse than semolina, which is the most horrible thing."
Semolina, that is a bit harsh, thought the man. And he said, I know. I think I know what we need. I think we need one more ingredient. I think what we need is some meat. We need the finest meat. The finest meat in the whole of Staffordshire. The finest meat in the whole of Cumbria. No, the finest meat in the whole of the world. And the lady scratched under her nose. She wiggled her fingers. She picked her left nostril, and she said,
"There's a little bit of a problem here because I'm actually a vegetarian, so meat is on short supply. But I've got the best thing in the world, even better than the finest fitted steak I've got, because I'm sponsored by the company, Linda McCartney's succulent vegetarian sausages."
How much are you making out of this product placement, Mr. Douglas?
A hell of a lot.
So the man, the lady, the old beautiful woman, she dropped those sausages into the pot and she took her spoon and she added the spoon to the pot. And can you remember what she did? She turned it and she stirred it and she tasted it. And the man said, "Is it ready yet?" And the lady said,
"Yes, it's gorgeous. It tastes, oh, it's so divine. It's like David's soul's breath. It's like heaven. It's the most wonderful thing I've ever tasted in my life." How did you do it?
Oh, it wasn't easy, Mrs. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy at all. And eventually, the man and the lady, well, they sat together at a 2-meter distance, of course, and together they enjoyed a delicious and healthy banana-infused delight. And at the end of the meal, the man said to the lady, "Thank you very much indeed for displaying such kindness.
Yes.
I'd like to give you something in return."
Hello, a courgette?
Oh no, it's better than a courgette.
All right.
Man, he reached into his pocket and he brought out one of these. It was a stone, but it was no ordinary stone. It was a pebble. And it were no ordinary pebble. It were a heart-shaped pebble from Walney Beach. And it were no ordinary heart-shaped pebble from Walney Beach. It was, of course, a magic pebble. And he gave it to the lady. And he said to her,
"Yes,
for your kindness, I'd like to thank you and give you this magical soup stone of your own. Because in this world, nobody should ever starve." At the end, the man and the lady, they embraced.
Oh,
Something,
Jesus.
and they both, of course, lived happily ever after. That's the story of the soup. Well done, darling. Very good. Marvellous performance. So, Mr. Douglas, I think we're at that time. It's 7 o'clock on the nose, so it's time to bring proceedings to a close. And I am right, aren't I, Mr. Douglas? We're doing that, are we not?
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to finish off with a little song. And the song is a new song. It's a song I wrote about a week ago, actually, and I wrote it for the Eureka Children's Museum in Halifax. And it's a song that celebrates children. It's a tricky time for us all at the moment here in lockdown and isolation. Certainly, if you're just a regular member of the country, it seems to be very different if you're involved in the government. But for the rest of us, we're quite stranded at the moment in lockdown. And one of the things that's been really uplifting are all the rainbows that the children have painted and put in their windows to brighten people's day. As you walk down the street, if you're an essential worker, you see these rainbows, and it's really uplifting. So in lockdown, I've been learning to play the piano, And I've written this song, and it's called Rainbows, and it's dedicated to all the children who have painted rainbows and put them in their windows. And it goes like this here. Thank you very much. Wish me luck, I'm not much of a pianist. Seasons turn around, we're housebound, and I've got itchy feet. Spring has sprung and gone, here's the summer sun, the air tastes sweet. The flower beds are bursting into bloom, a festival of colour and perfume. And though I view them through my window pane, I know that I will see them live again. Until then, thank you for the rainbows in your windows, that splash of vivid colour from your hose. Kaleidoscopes etched with crayons and felt pens are shining in the sunlight of a world that's monochrome, and as each colour pales and the rainbows bleach away, remember, millions of children painted rainbows to brighten darker days. That's lovely. And as each colour pales and the rainbows bleach away, remember, millions of children painted rainbows to brighten darker days. To brighten darker days. Music, words and art soothe aching hearts, that much is true. And the paintings that you share go up everywhere and help to pull us through. So sharpen up your pencils and compose. Keep creating, make your colours bold. It's people matter, not that pot of gold. Oh, each and every one you painted was much appreciated. So thank you for the rainbows in your windows, that splash of vivid colour from your hose. Kaleidoscopes etched with crayons and felt pens are shining in the sunlight of a world that's monochrome, and as each colour pales and the rainbows bleach away, remember, millions of children painted rainbows to brighten darker days. That's bringing a tear, that. And as each colour pales, oh, sorry, and the rainbows bleach away, remember, millions of children painted rainbows to brighten darker days. To brighten darker days. The streets are rather bare, everywhere deserted and devoid. And people passing by raise a smile, essentially employed. The nurses and the bin men on their way are uplifted by the arches that you made, that colourful carnival you displayed. Oh, each and every one you painted was much appreciated. So thank you for the rainbows in your windows, that splash of vivid colour from your homes. Their kaleidoscopes, etched with crayons and felt pens, are shining in the sunlight of a world that's monochrome. And as each colour pales and the rainbows bleach away, remember, millions of children painted rainbows to brighten darker days. And as we get free rein, and when we meet again, remember, millions of children painted rainbows to brighten darker days. There! Wow! That was amazing. It was like being back at Glastonbury, Mr. Douglas. All those rainbows on the screen.
Hey!
Whoa, fantastic.
Oh, I was almost made me weep.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, Mr. Douglas, it's probably just time to say a few thank yous, I suspect. Shall I begin?
Go.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much to Mike and to John Rowe, who are the gentlemen behind setting up this whole World Storytelling Cafe. It's an amazing thing. If you look on the website, if you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, if you look on the website, you'll see a whole host of the world's storytellers, and lots of them have done shows, and you can click on them at any time and you can watch those. And also a big thank you to Julio, who's the man with the headphones on. And Julio is the person that has to DJ all this and talk to all of us that haven't got a clue how this technology works to bring you these shows. So thank you very much to all of those. Give them a round of applause. Give them a round of applause. And Mr. Douglas, I think you have some important information for the people watching both here in the World Storytelling Cafe, but also on YouTube and on Facebook.
I have. It's the bit that you have to say, which is, I hope you've enjoyed our offering this evening. It comes from our heart and our hard work, and I'm sure we show it so seamlessly and so beautifully that you think, how do they do it? It's amazing. If you've appreciated what we've done for you this evening, then you could, if you have it, and if you don't, it's for free. But if you do have it, on the World Storytelling Cafe website, there is a little symbol. It's a hat symbol. And Mr. Bridgens has one, and I've got one. And if you want to, in this town of lockdown, most of us, as storytellers and artists and musicians, have lost all of our work and are desperately looking to when it might kick back in. So we're trying to make a living as well as offering beautiful things. If you've got a quid, put that to one side and get your notes out. And if you know, I'm joking. If you do,
we loved it.
That's a good line.
If you do have a quid, you can put in that. Especially those people out in the YouTube land and the Facebook land who aren't in the cafe but are still watching. If you do want to contribute, it would be gratefully appreciated. That would be. I've got a couple of thank yous very, very quick before we go. I'd like to thank my wife, who's in the background over here. She helped do. It's hard to see but you can some of the images that have we've just painted for you on the wall. But most of all, because Gary's done most of them, I would like to thank my brother in arms as ever, Mr. Gary Gacko Bridgens, for doing a marvellous job this evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Bridgens. And I'd like to thank you guys for joining us. And it's wonderful always to see lots of young faces as well as the usual suspects. So it's great to see all the kids out as well. And our faces. Who? Oh, and those faces as well. It's lovely. So well done, everybody. Thank you very, very much. And happy birthday, Ava, for Tuesday. And I think, Mr. Bridgens, you got your guitar there. Are you going to sing us out quickly?
I thought we usually, when Ian and I work together, we normally finish with this song. It's a song all about storytelling, which is why we sing it, because that's what we spend our time doing. We tell stories and we sing songs. And this song isn't one of my songs. This song is a song that was written by a friend of ours, by a gentleman called Jim Woodland. And he gave us this song to use at the end of our show. So thank you, Jim Woodland. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Mr. Douglas. I can't wait to get my hands on you when we're allowed to. Maybe we should meet up in a bluebell field in Barnard Castle. That seems to be acceptable. So we're going to finish with this song by Jim Woodland called Stories. And it goes like this here. Join in if you know it. Oh, we tell stories to each other to while away the days. We tell stories to each other to keep the night at bay. About life and death and love and hate as much as we recall. Tell stories to each other, that is all. Now here comes that chorus. But spin me another one, just like the other one. Spin me and show me the writing on the wall. We are dancers, romancers, answering the call. We tell stories to each other, that is all. Tell stories to each other, that is all. We tell stories to each other, exploring history. Tell stories to each other, adoring mysteries. Shine light into the darkness, shadows dance and fall. Tell stories to each other, that is all. Join in if you know it, but spin me another one, just like the other one. Spin me and show me the writing on the wall. We are dancers, romancers, answering the call. We tell stories to each other, that is all. Tell stories to each other, that is all. Over to you, Mr. Douglas.
Well, you know, once there was a travelling man, a tall man with a long cloak that stretched all the way down his back to his feet. And to see that man, you would describe him as a very handsome man. Well, that man, he travelled the world, and when he came to new places, he would knock on doors. And when they saw who it was, they would welcome him inside, and they would listen to all he had to say. Well, not too far behind that man, there was an old woman, bent and weathered with age. And to see that old woman, you'd describe her as an ugly woman. Well, she travelled the same roads and she knocked on the same doors. But when people saw her, they slammed the door shut in her face. Well, one evening, the man and the woman, they met. And the woman said, "Why is it that when you knock on doors in new places and they see you, they welcome you inside and they listen to you? But me, when I knock on those doors, there's no welcome at all." And he said, "I'm sorry, my friend, I can't answer that question. The best I can give you is my name. My name is Story. And you know, people like to listen to a good story when it's well told." She said, "Well, that's strange, you see, because my name is Truth. And very often people don't like listening to the truth." And he said, "Well, I'll do you a deal, because there are many folds in my cloak. Why don't you live in the folds of my cloak, and we'll travel the roads together. And we come to new places and knock on new doors. People will welcome me inside. And when I tell them stories, From this day on, some will make them laugh, some will make them cry, but all of them will make them think, because hidden inside every story I tell from this day, there will be truth for people to find.
Oh, we tell stories to each other that people want to hear. The devils and the angels dancing in our hair. Tell stories to each other of reason and of rhyme. Happy ever after, once upon a time. Okay, last orders at that chorus, but spin me another one, just like the other one. Spin me and show me the writing on the wall. We are dancers, romancers, answering the call. We tell stories to each other, that is all. We tell stories to each other.
And that is all.
Whoa. Thank you. Thank you, Gary and Ian. Thank you. Am I muted still? No.
No, okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. And normally the three of us would be together at Chippenham Folk Festival. So while we couldn't be in the same field together, we could be on the same screen. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, John.
And we'll see you tomorrow night, maybe, at the magazine programme Connecting the World with Stories. And don't forget, tip these two gentlemen.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Well done, all.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. See you all.
Yes, we're grand.
Hello. Hiya, Casper.
Hello.
All right, Casper lad.
You're right.
Hello in hello in Roseland. Hello,
Cameron's following me.
I've switched my piano off so I can lean on it.
Now.
And there's Sarah and Isaac as well.
That was great. That seemed to work okay, Mr. Douglas.
I think so.
It's
You're doing a naked version next time.
What?
The
Children.
naked version. Yeah, that's after 9 o'clock. The naked version. I am doing some naked puppetry.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and take my shirt off because it's very warm on the boat.
Well, I might have a small glass of sweet sherry to celebrate getting through the show.
Well done, everybody. Well done.
It was funny. It was one of those things where I was just singing to the screen and talking to the screen in the hope that everything was going all right. I've absolutely no idea. But
It was brilliant.
I tell you,
It's like
Douglas, I never feel nervous whenever I know you're nearby. I know it like a rabbit's foot you are.
And of course, Bridget. You can't go wrong when Bridget's in the room.
I think you should start selling little images of Bridget, framed Bridget that you can sell online.
Yeah, well, if anybody wants a signed photograph of Bridget for their wall, I'm very happy to provide them. You can have full life scale ones if you want, no problem at all. No problem. Yeah.
And your window painting was lovely, Mr. Douglas.
Oh, thank you. It's just lighting itself up properly now. Actually, the sun's just come out properly. It's hard for you to see, unfortunately. The sun's so bright.
That's brilliant. What was great was, I don't know if you could see it, but there was lots of people, because I went into the gallery view so I could see what you were doing. And there was lots of people all with rainbows shaking them around. And
Casper.
It's amazing. It was so amazing. It made me forget some of the chords in the song.
Oh, yeah, that's what did it.
That was a
It's
quite
a lovely
magical
song,
moment.
Gary. It was a lovely song.
Oh,
You
thank
want to record that? You must. Yeah.
Very nice.
yeah.
Right, I'm gonna sign off now and say ta-ta.
Me
Thanks,
too.
John. Thanks,
Big
Mike,
round of
Mike.
applause then.
And happy birthday, Eva. for Tuesday. We'll be thinking of you. And cheers, guys, everybody. We'll see you round a fire soon. I promise.
Fire. Cheers,
Thanks
Lord.
very much.
And thanks again, Mike and John and Julio.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
And Bianca and Lucy.
And Lucy, yeah, well,
Thanks.
everybody, you know me, John, I can barely remember my own name, let alone anybody
Yeah, I know. That's why I dropped them in for your survival.
Yeah. Also, John, as you mentioned, we would be at Chippenham Festival right now. We would be at Chippenham Festival right now, and lucky for you, it was your turn to bring the whiskey this year.
Well, so it won't be my turn next year, will it?
No, it must be back to Mr. Douglas.
Muggins. Hey, Rose. Oh, are you there? Hi. It's great. I'm looking because the lights really, and I've just gone. Oh, that's who you are. It's great to see you both. Somebody's growing.
It's nice to see you.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Gacko, do you remember your ukulele assistant from last year?
Yeah. Yes.
If I'd known you were there, I'd have got you to play the chords on that song.
We were a bit late joining you.
You've upset Casper. You've upset Casper now.
Upset me.
No, I expected some trombone. I expected some trombone from Casper.
Okay. I've got it there actually. But...
Maybe next time we do this, we can have a whole orchestra playing along. That'd be great.
Next time.
I don't know about you, but my whistle needs wetting, and so I'm going to have the very smallest glass of sweet cherry before I tuck myself into bed.
We'll see you all, guys. Take care. Love you all. Much like.
Cheers.
Bye.